Greetings, Guardians. My name is Byf here. So, it's time to talk about who's watching the Watchmen, or rather, the Hidden, as is the case for Destiny. Yeah, yet again, we're talking about the oh-so-secretive spy organization that is host to the Destiny universe's greatest killers, espionage experts, and more. It's in the lore again because, well, it's kind of a big development regarding its leadership. Ikora Rey has been leading the organization for years, but now it seems as though she's about to take on more of a focus with her role in the Vanguard, and as a result there's going to be a changing of hands. So, a quick refresher on the Hidden to start with. The organization has been run for a long time by Ikora Rey. Its exact origins are shrouded in mystery, but we know that we've been getting hidden reports for years. I think they really first came to prominence back in Season of the Drifter, but they've always kind of been around. They work alongside the Guardians, who tend to be the agents of the Hidden, given their ability to engage with dangerous environments and situations. That doesn't mean that the Hidden don't also watch the other Guardians, though, given that the Hidden are interested in keeping tabs on just about everyone in Sol. In fact, the sheer number of individuals that the Hidden are spying on at any one time is kind of staggering. Each of the individuals that the Hidden are watching, if they are designated to be a VIP, gets a 4-digit identifier code which is used instead of their name in all Hidden reports from then onward. To give some examples, Oryx, Mara Sov, the Drifter, Fikrul, Aramis, and even our own Guardian all have hidden identifiers. Again, all of this was done under the leadership of Ikora Rey, but the lore seems to indicate that that leadership was kind of an interesting one. In the lore, it's portrayed that Ikora seemed to kind of cultivate this sentiment that she was the first amongst equals, and that everyone in the Hidden was kind of close at hand regardless of what their station was. Back in Forsaken, for example, when the sentiment really turned against the Vanguard in the wake of Cayde's murder, she made an open statement to the Hidden saying that if necessary, she would step down from leadership. Heck, she even said that she would step down from the Vanguard if people thought it was necessary. Ikora never stepped down, but she also wasn't ever ousted, and I think there are a few things that really displays. First of all, it shows that, well, Ikora is a really competent leader, not just because she's a really powerful Guardian, but also because, well, she manages to balance a lot of different spinning plates all at once. But also, it kind of just shows how apolitical the Hidden are as an organization. They are not a spy organization built with hierarchies for power and influence. Instead, the Hidden exist to advance no agenda but for that of the Lost City, and ultimately, they don't do it to advance power strictly, they do it to survive. They're just there to keep tabs on threats to the Guardians and the city itself, and it's not really a mechanism that's commonly used in Destiny to seek political power. It's kind of remarkable, really. You have one of these really dangerous organizations that's capable of shifting the entirety of the city, and it's just, well, it's not used. Conceivably, the Hidden's power is enough that Ikora Rey could have taken a bigger role in the Lost City's politics, and she just never chose to do so. It's kind of awesome to see that. As a further note to this, you should know that there are some pretty notable agents amongst the Hidden as well, each with service records that would impress even the most elite of Guardians. Fenchurch Everis, for example, is the supposed source of all of Tess Everis's items in the Eververse store, items that are sold to us on a daily basis for Bright Dust and other currencies. Before the final shape, and back in Destiny 1 in particular, we had flavor text in some of the items, where Fenchurch joked about how far and wide he'd actually traveled, joking that he'd even been inside the Traveler itself. Regardless of whether or not that's true, and with Final Shape I sort of doubt it, he's actually got quite a few other accolades to his name. For example, he was the one who recovered initial intelligence on the fate of Eris Morn before the Shadowkeep expansion, and he was on the team sent to recover the body of Oryx from the deep below the seas of Titan. We'll talk more about that and who led that expedition in a moment. Then, of course, there is Eris Morn herself. Yes, for those of you who had forgotten, Eris Morn is indeed one of the Hidden. But that little note about her being a hidden agent is somewhat of a footnote compared to her other accolades, including being Crota's Bane, the one who orchestrated the downfall of Oryx, the Slayer of Savathûn, Banisher of Zivur Wrath, Jailer of the Navigator's Echo, and one-time Hive God of Vengeance. That being said, she still coordinates closely with Ikora, who is one of her better friends, and pushes to ensure that Hive artifacts and those linked to darkness are understood and clarified. She might be a lightless guardian, having lost her ghost Briar all those years ago, but she understands more about Hive magic than perhaps any other guardian in existence, with maybe the exception of Toland the Shattered. And at this point, she may not have the light, but she can still call upon darkness with the power of stasis if needs be. On the polar opposite side of the spectrum from Eris Morn is a guardian that some might call fanatic, others might call a purist, and an unlucky few will call their executioner. For those of you versed in the lore, you will know that I am speaking of Arnor Mahal, the left hand of Ikora as some might see them to be, and one of the most revered members of the Praxic Order of Warlocks. Her steadfast commitment to the light is matched only by her conviction that darkness represents evil and danger, a puritanical belief for sure, but one which she holds still, even after quite a bit of time, partly thanks to her own practical experiences. What do I mean by that? Well, she may not have ever wielded the darkness, but when guardians do wield it and turn traitor, she is the one sent to chase them down. She is the executioner, the witch hunter. She is, well, deadly. She's killed guardians before and their ghosts and has had no qualms about it. She was the one assigned to investigate the Drifter back in the season of the Drifter. She also personally hunted down guardians who had turned to corruption in the Trials of Osiris, and even went toe-to-toe and was able to hold her own, not in an actual fight, but in a war of words and intimidation with the gunslinger himself, Shin Malphur, the wielder of the last word. If none of you have read that lore tab, damn, it's scary. Love that it's a thing that we saw in the lore too, because, woof, did that give Arnor some character. She was also there to protest vehemently against the continued tolerance of stasis and strand that the Vanguard had practiced. Needless to say, now that Zavala is only capable of using darkness, that entire worldview has sort of been upended, as has the entire doctrine of the Praxic Creed. Regardless, even if the creed is outdated, Arnor is anything but. She is still one of the sharpest guns available. But amongst the hidden, there is an agent that also turns up a whole lot. A hunter by the name of Chalco Yong. She's the guardian that's quoted in the Dragon's Shadow Hunter exotic, but it'd be wrong to assume that that's the whole of her story. Chalco also has a really deep friendship with Ikora, and in fact it was something that was explored in various Collector's Edition lore books, particularly the Witch Queen. In fact, Chalco's assessment of Ikora is a pretty prominent and infamous piece of lore all on its own. This is the moment where Chalco acknowledged that Ikora's power was something akin to what most Guardians could only dream of mastering. To put it in her words, finding a Guardian with Ikora's power is something like a 1 in 3.5 million chance. Chalco was also supposedly the one who was looking into the reports of a Lightbearer on the Tangled Shore, who looked like the deceased Prince Aldrin. This, of course, would go on to be Crow before he was recovered by Osiris during the season of the Hunt. She was also responsible for running the operation to recover Oryx's remains, and she had the foresight long ago to counsel Ikora that the Hidden needed to more actively watch throughout the system, something which Ikora wasn't able to do at the time, and which she would later directly affirm as being a correct call that she didn't manage to listen to. The Red War, and the fact that Guardians lost their light, was what prompted this. In one of her messages that she sent out to the Hidden, telling them all to find safe houses and go to ground, she acknowledged only 2 amongst their number: Eris Morn, so that she could let her know to be safe, and Chalco to apologize for being wrong. Now it appears that Chalco's story is going to evolve even further, and this is kind of why I'm making this video. We know this thanks to the development in the new SMG from Act 2 of Heresy, the Mirror Imago. As it turns out, Ikora Rey is stepping back from the leadership of the Hidden, and she is moving to a position where she is able to support Zavala more with the Vanguard's duties. This means that someone else needs to step into her shoes, and it just so happens that Ikora has made a choice, and that choice is going to be Chalco. Take a listen. I know my duty. Chalco Yong to Ikora Rey. Ikora didn't react when she heard the cloak slide to the floor with a soggy thump, or when the chair by her side scraped back. When Chalco kicked her boots up onto the table beside her, Ikora only moved her datapad a precise 6 inches to the left. She tapped into the Vanguard duty roster, another page to review, and more messages flooding in at every moment. Chalco sighed loudly. I lost him. Ikora glanced to her right. Lost him? He's stealthier than you'd think, even when you think you know how stealthy he is. It's why we thought he'd be a useful asset, I guess. Ikora turned at last, placing her datapad face down on the table. She took Chalco in. Tired, muddy, armored vest undone and hanging by its strap. Well, that's not a terribly auspicious beginning for what I wanted to tell you, Ikora said. But I'll forgive you. If you tell me I have to go back out tonight, I'm quitting, and I'll never talk to you again. You never have the commitment to make that work, Ikora said lightly. She laid her hands in her lap. I'm stepping in to give Zavala more support in his work. I've been firmly informed that it's a full-time job in itself, and that means I need a trusted hand on the hidden. Chalco scrambled to sit up, boot heels scraping loudly across the table. You're serious? She asked. No, of course you are. Damn, Ikora, first you give up fieldwork, then you pass on the curse to me? Will you do it? Of course I'll do it. Do you know how mad I'd be if you asked anybody else? Ikora held out a hand. Chalco clasped it. Wet fieldwork prickled unpleasantly against Ikora's bare palm. She tightened her grip. I'll make you proud, boss, Chalco said. Ikora said, You already do, boss. I know it's a really small thing, but this passing of the torch is kind of amazing in modern terms. Ikora is passing on to Chalco control over the most lethal company of spies, assassins, and informants in the entire solar system. In modern terms, if Ikora wanted, she could use this to upend the government of the last city. That's the kind of power that she wields. But the Hidden collectively aren't like that. They're so focused on their mission that this passing of the torch can be done in this manner. They aren't seeking power with this, they are actively working as protectors. In fact, you can kind of see that by the way that Chalco describes the entire role. She describes it as a curse, but then immediately jumps to and embraces the role because it's a responsibility that she has. In fact, she's looking to serve Ikora still when she is on the Vanguard, saying that she will make her proud. Now, sure, there is potentially an accusation of nepotism here because, well, it's a friend passing the role to another friend, but, I mean, when Guardians are alive for as long as they are, I imagine that it's hard for someone to not become friends with just about everyone they work with. And more importantly, there is another note to be made here, which is simply the idea that, well, it's much more about trust. Ikora understands Chalco's capabilities and she thinks that she is more than equal for the job. She's not getting it for any other reason. And even if Chalco wasn't the one who was given the job and it was given to someone else, there are plenty of other really competent hidden agents. Fenchurch Everest, Arnor Mahal, Eris Morn, Truce, there's any number of people that could potentially step in and do this role. Chalco is just the one who is taking on the curse, as she would put it. For a little further context, by the way, Chalco is talking about the Drifter there at the beginning. The Drifter is the one that she lost, and the one they thought that they could turn into an asset because of his stealthy qualities. It's noted in other parts of this season, but basically the Drifter is using the Hidden's intelligence to find alternate plans just in case our initial plan to use Willbreaker on the Echo of Navigation comes up short. Take a listen to this, he explains it better.
Well, can't patch a hive sword up with the everyday sealant. Where's that leave us? You're gonna need some kind of taking fanciness for that. More than I have handy. Might be easier in the right place. Got some thoughts on that? I'll leave you a couple notes. Now, if anyone asks, I didn't tell you this, but they can't do anything to you anyway. Been working with the Hidden a little. Call it freelancing. I do a favor for them, they do a favor for me. They're squares, but they've got good intel. And they've been keeping an eye on Savathun. We're gonna have to deal with her sooner, not later. Still digging, but when something useful comes up on her, I'll be in touch, hero. You just stay ready.
If just about anyone was going to give a hidden agent the slip, it was going to be the Drifter. All this matters because I think it represents the opportunity for Bungie to bring Chalco forward into the world as a new character that we might actually see or communicate with in-game. If that's the case, we're going to want to keep tabs on Chalco. She just ascended to become the most powerful spy master in the entire system, and if nothing else, it'd be great for you to all know that she is there, she exists, and that she is probably going to become a major prominent character in future releases. Bungie doesn't do this for no reason. I think they're priming her to become an actual in-game face character. Times are changing. It seems like the Hidden are going to change with them. So get ready to meet Chalco one day, I guess. The next real Master of the Hidden, the new Spy Master that's going to be replacing Ikora Rey, the one who we ultimately might end up dealing with if ever we have to hunt down some more vicious foes across Sol and beyond. Anyway, that's all from me for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, go ahead and leave a like and leave your own thoughts down below in the comments section. If you want more content from universes near and far, go ahead and hit subscribe, and the bell next to subscribe to turn on those email notifications. But as per usual, know that your viewership as always has been quite enough for me, and that in the meantime, my name is Byf. Audacia Arastra. I'll see you Starside.